is an indication of his hands-on approach when it comes to development across this country. The remarks that was just shared by Ms. Malika Russell is indeed evident that His Excellency intends to have all involved in the developmental agenda of this country. Ladies and gentlemen, can we all stand as we welcome His Excellency, the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Dr. Berbice.
Thank you very much, please. Thank you very much. Mohammed. Good morning, everyone. Members of the head table, Mr. Joe Yusuf, brothers and sisters, fellow Guyanese. I'm very pleased to be with you this morning. And this morning I'm here on a very simple mission. And that mission has to do with the vision of making Guyana not only the food basket of the region, but more importantly, building a framework that will ensure that we produce with the greatest levels of productivity, we use the best available technology, and we bring international partners. We bring international partners to the development of our agriculture and food system in this country. And we've started this work all across the globe, seeking out the best partners, seeking out the best possible investors, building relationship and strategic partnership so that this vision of being a net food exporter, an important global player in various agricultural commodities and produce can be realized. This is a sustainable path that we must follow. The revenues from oil and gas must be used to build our agricultural system. It must be used to invest in infrastructure, invest in technology, invest in partnering with you so that we can build a strong, resilient, and sustainable industry. And that is a vision on which we are embarking on this important journey. When I speak about partnership, in CARICOM, the heads of government, we've all already agreed that the first target is called 25 by 2025. That is reducing our food import bill by 25% by 2025. And the only way we can do this is if we are in partnership with the farmers, the people. You are the important part in this journey of achieving this target. And we are going to work with you side by side, hand in hand, so we realize this target for CARICOM. This is a target without political agenda. This is a target without social agenda. This is a target with you, the farmers and people of Guyana, in mind. We can only do this if together, the government, the farmers, the region, and I want to acknowledge the regional chairman too, the region, the private sector, we all participate, we all take responsibility, and we all embrace this vision. Already, we have seen tremendous progress in our relationship with Barbados, for example. We're very soon will be turning the sod for a Guyana Barbados food terminal. Both the leadership of both countries, we have already expressed our unwavering commitment to the removal of every barriers that will prevent trade between the two countries. Similar discussions are ongoing with Antigua, Jamaica, St. Lucia, and the rest of the region, so that we prepare not only the production and productive level of the farms and farmers in Guyana, but we also work on the low-hanging fruit of the regional market. So in May 19th to the 21st, we will have our first regional Agri investment forum here in Guyana. And that forum will bring together all the major players in the region, from the distribution chain, the trading arm, the banking institutions, and global players, so that we can formulate an actionable agenda with investment required and make those opportunities available to the people of the region and globally. Now, I just want to give you a few examples of some of the things we're doing. Malika would have elaborated a bit on what we're doing with the young people in innovation and entrepreneurial program. In Region 6, at Blackbush, we're working with the private sector in building a processing facility so that the excess production can go into that facility and be converted into bulk for export. Next week, we have a team coming in that we met in the UAE and are part of WestJet Cargo to look at adding the cargo facility for direct export to North America. These are all initiatives that we are fast tracking and we are going after in a very aggressive manner. Very soon, we will be launching another program to support the poultry industry. We started by working with all the large poultry producers in a consortium for them to produce their own corn and soya for the production of feed to support that industry. And I'll explain to you why this is so important in a few moments. Because we have to be self-sufficient. It is not only rising prices globally now, but it's shortages of supply. And I'll tell you some of what we'll be doing to combat this. So we are already working with them on the production of corn and soya. We are now looking at a project that will enable us to produce our hatching eggs all here in Guyana, locally. Right now, we import between 48 to 52 million eggs annually. Hatching eggs, between 48 to 52 million hatching eggs annually. Worth close to between 336 million to 350 million Guyana dollars. That is a low-hanging fruit. That is a market we can capture. I was in St. Cuthbert's yesterday, And we're going to work with that community and other communities along the highway to be part of this massive project in which the private sector, the government, and the communities will work on ensuring we have the sustainable production of hatching eggs right here in Guyana, and then eventually for the export market in the region. These are the initiatives that are transformative in nature. These are the initiatives that will propel the economy. These are the initiatives that will bring direct benefits to the farmer and enhance our diversification program. These are some of the initiatives that will ensure our economy is built on many pillars, and that we are not on any path that will be from the examples we can learn from oil producing countries. I just came back from the UAE, and 90% of the conversation with the leadership of the UAE and the private sector was not on oil and gas. 90% of the conversation was on food security and agricultural diversity and production. We had discussions with 3 of the largest state-backed institutions that are going to be here to work with us, to partner with us. Emirati Future Group, the Al-Dahara Group, and Elite Group are 3 of the largest players in agricultural food production. Our neighbor, Brazil, is one of the largest exporters to that region in every single category. We have all the competitive advantages here. It is now catalyzing it into action and bringing it to the fore so that the benefits can rebound to the country. We are also working on the swamp shrimp project for the diaspora market. Since we started that project, we have been able to double our production in less than a year. Double our production in less than a year. And we're seeking to double the new production target in the next year. The market is there, and we're now creating the incentives and supporting farmers. I want to assure you that we in the government will be side by side with you on this journey. This journey is so important, not only for Guyana and the region. We are already leaders in many areas, whether it's on the environment, climate change, oil and gas, or human resource capacity. We must not only dream, but it is now in our reach to be the leader in food production here in this region. That must be our vision. So, this project that we're talking about today falls under the One Guyana umbrella. The One Guyana is not only a concept that deals with social issues. It is not only a political concept. One Guyana is about bringing economic prosperity to every citizen of this country. One Guyana is about opening up doors and creating an environment in which every single citizen can participate in the development and advancement of our country. One Guyana ensures that your political rights, your freedom, will always be respected. It is not dependent on that, but it protects that and it supports that. One Guyana requires all of us to work together, hold hands together, advance on the cause for development together. And these projects can never be successful if we don't understand that we must do it together. We have to do it together, and we are not going to fail by doing it separately. Every single farmer must be a support for the other farmer. That is why we are working not only on 1 or 2 or 3 farmers, but we are working on building a consortium, bringing all of you together under one umbrella for the achievement of a singular vision. It is this type of collaboration that brings economic prosperity to your families and your communities, that would lead to the strengthening of relationship at a social level too. To achieve one Guyana, we have to start in the homes. We have to show love in the homes. You have to demonstrate love to your family. Then you have to take that love to your communities, to your region, and then to the country. It cannot start without each one of us making a commitment. And these projects are geared towards cementing relationship. This is an important part of the vision. We are not building a one-off project. The vision of this project is first to be self-sufficient locally, but importantly, in the short term, to start supply regionally, and then grow this to an international product. And for that, we are bringing in the relevant players, the global players, to work side by side with us. But this sector must be built differently. Agricultural sector is a sector with great dignity. That is why we started the youth program, so we can get more young people involved. In our country, we have graduates from the University of Guyana, the Guyana School of Agriculture, that are involved in planting. There is great economic prosperity in agriculture. And that is what we want to demonstrate. So this project goes beyond just building the farms. So for this specific project in Region 5, we want 20% of those farms to be led by women. At least 20% of the farms must be led by women. And 35% of the farms must have youth involvement. That is young people below the age of 35. This is part of building the future. This is part of empowerment. These are real targets and a real approach in involvement of people. So not only must agriculture be about food production, it must be built on erasing biases. Agriculture must demonstrate that it has the ability to create an equal society. And that is another part of this vision. We are also bringing large-scale producers to the table. And the large-scale producers are not here to compete. They will be here to support. They will be here to support. And part of that support is technology and capital. We have already made it clear that the small farmers must be part of a larger collective. Must be part of a larger collective that will drive this system. And we don't have the time to go through the normal evolution. That is why we have to bring in the people with the know-how, the technology, and the capital to embrace you and work with you and partner with you for the development of this sector. So, I just wanted, there's a gentleman at the back there, if he has a question, he can ask it. The gentleman with the green mask. Is there a question you have? Huh? Okay. So, part of moving forward is discipline.
Very good. Like that.
Part of moving forward is discipline. As a country and as a people, we have to start changing our outlook. We can't want to play on the best markets and we don't start changing the way we approach business and approach doing things. I'm having very frank discussion all across this country, because if we are not frank and open to each other as one united Guyanese family, then we will not be able to build the structure and foundation that will be strong enough to take our country forward.
Here, here.
Now, I wish to go into the presentation of this project. Before I go into the project, I want to put one slide up on the screen. I don't know if you're seeing it. Are you seeing it? Now, what is this? You hear a lot of people talking about cost of living. The increase in prices is not a cloud hanging over Guyana. It is a sky hanging over the world. The world is faced with a tremendous challenge at the moment. The COVID-19 pandemic has driven this challenge and created hardship all across the world. Countries are faced not only with wars now, but one of the major challenges in many countries today is survival. Hunger and poverty because of prices, the rising food prices. So I hear some commentators speaking about this as if we are an island unto ourselves. So I wanted to demonstrate to you what has occurred between 2019 and today on some important commodities. Take for example wheat. 30% of the world wheat is supplied by Russia and Ukraine. With the war that is going on, that production can come out of the system. With that production out of the system, the impact on flour, the impact on bread is enormous. That is why we have to build our capacity locally. And we are doing an experiment now in the Ministry of Agriculture to see whether Guyana can produce wheat. And if we can produce wheat, we are going to invest in the production of wheat so that we do not find ourselves facing these global shocks. It is not only the prices that is worrying now, but it is the supply. Even if you have the money, the product is not there. So that's, I just highlighted a few. Look at wheat. The price in 2019 was $189 US per metric ton. $189 US per metric ton in 2019. That is the blue bar. Look at the price today. $317 per ton. From 2019 to now, the price has moved from $189 per ton on the blue bar to $317 per ton on the yellow bar. That is what the world is facing. This is not what Guyana alone is facing. Whether you're a country, for example, Montserrat with 5,000 or 7,000 people, or you're China and India, this is what you're facing on the global market. Look at grains. Move from $167 per ton to $277 per ton. Grain is the most important ingredient for the production of feed for the poultry sector. So if grain prices goes up, the price for feed goes up. And if the price for feed goes up, the price for poultry goes up. The price for eggs goes up. This is the linkage. This is what happens when you speak about global shock and the global market. This is how the global market is connected to every local market globally. Look at crude oil. Crude oil moved from $57 a barrel in 2019. From 57 to today, where recently it went to $126 per barrel. 100. So yes, somebody said that the country can earn more with crude oil. But I explained to you the relative concept of all the other things you have to import that you will pay more for. For example, in GPL, the budget was made based on oil at $60. If oil is $126, who pays that increase? The government has already made a decision that we will take up that increase for electricity and water. So it's not a simplistic thing like you said, you will get more money. This is an equation. This is an economy that you run. And things balance off. So that's another example. That is why you're seeing globally the price of the pump increasing. We have taken off all the taxes to ease the burden. But these are all short-term solutions. We now have to find a long-term solution. Because it's not only about prices now for fuel, but one of the main issues globally now is where the supply will come from. That is why we are pursuing also a refinery that will ensure we have sustainable supply. Every country now is trying to improve its productive capacity to move closer to self-sustenance. Fertilizer. Look at the price for fertilizer, moving from $260 per metric ton to $846. That is why the natural gas is so important. That is why it is so important, so that we can have the capacity to build our own fertilizer plant to support the visionary agricultural sector that we want to create. The development of this country and the advancement of this country is not occurring by guess or by chance. It is calculated decision based on a vision and an approach to make Guyana sustainable. So natural gas is not only about building a pipeline and having the more than 250 megawatts added to the power generation. What's about the fertilizer plant? LNG. This is the future we're talking about. Shipping. Look at the cost for shipping. Moving from 3,500, this is out of Miami. The end of 2019. Moving from 3,500 US dollars per container to $10,000. This is what the world is faced with. This is what Guyana is faced with. We have not created this, but we have to operate in this environment. We can't close down our doors and say we shut everything down. We are part of this global market. This is the environment in which we are operating. These are the circumstances globally under which every country must manage. And we must understand and appreciate that. But I want to assure you that the government is not hiding from the issue. We are confronting the issue. I am raising it with you. I'm not waiting for anyone to raise it. Because we understand the problem. But more importantly, we are working continuously on the solution. We anticipated what will happen on the market. That is why we set aside $5 billion to support cost of living initiatives. And a consultation are ongoing on that. So these are the realities that we face as a country. Now, in Region 5, we want to create the livestock capital of not Guyana, of the region. Region 5 must be the livestock capital of CARICOM. That is the vision. To do that, we have to increase our production. We have to increase our quality. We have to improve our breed. We have to use more advanced technology. We have to invest in infrastructure. And we have to work on building the partnership. All of which are ongoing. Today is the launch of the People's Partnership. That is all the farmers who are going to be part of this program coming together under this one vision. Coming together under this one vision. Now, for us to understand this industry, it is important we have an understanding of the opportunities. And if you look on your screen, you will see some of the opportunities. Mutton and mutton products. This presentation is specifically for mutton and mutton products. All the numbers you see here are associated with that. So the world import value is 8 billion United States dollars for mutton, lamb, mutton products. That is 1.2 billion metric tons that is required to meet this market. And it is a growing market, as I will show you in a few slides. CARICOM alone, where we have a free trade agreement, imports 7,900 tons, which is valued at 48 million United States dollars. Imagine, we have right within our arm's reach a market that can generate a value of 48 million United States dollars. And who supply CARICOM right now? Australia, and New Zealand. With the cost of freight and logistics cost increases, it is becoming more and more expensive. That is why this is a low-hanging fruit. CARICOM is right within our arm reach. And this is the first target market outside of our local markets that we are working to reaching. The four major markets in CARICOM are Bahamas, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and Barbados. Now, one looking at the CARICOM market will say this is a small population, all of CARICOM put together. But pre-COVID, we had 32 million tourists coming into CARICOM. 32 million tourists coming in. They all require food. They all want good food. So that is 32 million people added to the food market of CARICOM. Trinidad and Tobago imported 2,600 tons, valued at $17.2 million US. Right next door, an hour flight away, is a market of $17.2 million US. Jamaica imported 2,600 metric tons, a market of US $12.6 million. Bahamas imported 900 metric tons, a market of $6.9 million United States dollars. Barbados imported 1,000 metric tons, a market of $6.8 million US dollars. And I want to pause on the Barbados market to let you know how fast we are moving. We have already agreed with Barbados that Guyana and Barbados will do a joint project to supply the Barbados market strictly from Guyana to start with. That is a market with a value of $6.8 million United States dollars. To show you how fast we are moving, when it's coming? 2 weeks from now, our breeding stock for Barbados black belly will be enhanced by 1,000. That flock is coming to Region 5 to support you here in Region 5 in the breeding stock. This is not gaff. This is real work, hard work in building this industry. Right here in Guyana, we imported 18 metric tons, still 130,000 US dollars. And this market will grow as more people grow to the middle class and as the new sectors will demand more, especially specialized cuts. That's a low-hanging fruit. 130,000 US dollars is a low-hanging fruit. Extremely low. That's on the ground. If you go to the next slide here, you will see every single country in CARICOM and the value of the import in 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. And you will see that there is continuous growth. Except for the period of COVID and now with the supply chain issues. Those are the constraints to the existing, markets. If you look at the slide before you, it is a CARICOM import of mutton and how it's distributed over the years in value terms. And you will see from 2016 to 2019, the market has grown from 36 million US dollars to close to 48 million US dollars. That's a 12 million United States dollars growth in the market between 2016 to 2019. I am presenting this to show you the opportunities so that you will know in this project there are great opportunities. This is not a project by guess. This is a project that is supported by scientific research, market research, and strong negotiation on the trade side. And I want to pause and thank all the technical staff and the minister from the Ministry of Agriculture for the hard work they're doing every single day to push these projects. I want you to give them. If you go to the next slide, you will see CARICOM import of mutton between 2016 to 2019. Every single country, how much tons they imported, and the value of that import by country. So this presentation is not only designed for us here. This presentation is going global, so that potential investors can also be looking in and understanding what we are doing here, what we are building, what we are creating, the opportunities that we are creating. Now this slide is a very important slide for many reasons. So lamb and mutton is considered a high value meat. When I say high value, it also goes on social strata. So in many countries, persons in the lower economic bracket consume more poultry, for example. And then if you look at the top of this graph, you will see mutton and goat and beef and buffalo. You see that? So this is the per capita consumption. And this is how it is changing globally. So if you look at Guyana now, we consume a lot of poultry. Then we move up to beef and mutton. As the economy changes, as more people start to come in, as more people start to earn more, this graph will change. And you will see the green wave expanding because more revenue and resources will be available, and people have more money in their pocket, they buy higher value product. It's just like, my friend, if you start with $10, you may buy a sweet that is worth $10. But if your revenue, right, Dr. Gibori?
Yes, sir.
If your revenue goes like your revenue to $1 million, then you don't want a sweet anymore. You want a gold lace chocolate. Not only a chocolate. It's a function of revenue. Some people globally now are not satisfied only with a steak. They have to have a gold-plated steak. It is how market works. So I'm demonstrating to you here that in the years ahead, even the local market for lamb and goat and mutton product would also increase. So that demand also will shift locally as it will shift regionally. So you see the detailed work that is going behind the development of this sector. Then let us look at the present structure of the industry. What are the characteristics of the present structure of the industry? Predominantly, the breed that we have here is the Barbados black belly breed type. Region 5, where we are now, accounts for 65% of the population. Region 5 right now, you account for 65%. The productive system utilize our intensive, semi-intensive, and extensive systems. With some farmers now moving to better managed systems and technology. So what we want to do is to work with all the farmers to develop a consistent system. Because once you're creating an industry, we must have consistency. Once we're developing an industry, we must have similarity of technology and similarity of system, because we have to build a mechanism that will support a singular system. So that will be part of what we'll be doing in terms of research, technology, capital, the market system, the reproduction system, the feeding system, the pasture. All of these will undergo tremendous change with investment of the government so that we can have the highest possible output from every single farmer and every single pasture. We're going to support you with the machinery and equipment to bring those fields and pasture up to level. And then we'll be investing in the technology and the equipment to help us down the processing line. This is part of the input from the government in supporting the development. It's not only bringing in the 1,000 breeding stock from Barbados and then leaving it there. Because we are also looking at other large-scale supplier. Minister Indar, who is following up directly for me from UAE, will tell you it is not only an interest, it is overwhelming interest in Guyana's food system right now. The next slide, we trace the evolution of the sheep industry in Guyana. From 1993 to 1998, 2010, every single thing we did in the evolution of this sector is important, because it is based on these historical facts and data that we have to improve the system. So from all of this, I'm just showing you the level of details that is going into this planning. We have assessed the historical evolution of the sector. And in assessing the historical evolution of the sector, we are now in a position to identify the weaknesses, the challenges, the threats, and the opportunities, so that we will be building a strong and resilient sector. Now in Guyana, more than 90% of the meat consumed is poultry, as demonstrated in the earlier slide. Why is this industry, why is the sheep and goat industry not only competitive, but present great opportunity? Let me give you a few facts. Sheep is a better converter of grass and legumes. For example, 8 ewes, sheep is equivalent to 1 cow. Now, in simple terms, what 1 cow eat, 8 sheep would eat. So let's start at the pasture level. And this is important. It's a conversion ratio. So if you have an area and you're a cattle farmer and you have 1 cow in that area, just imagine if you were doing sheep, you have sheep, 8 sheep in that same area. That is the conversion ratio. So let's say you're looking at 2 years. That same 8 sheep, 8 ewes, will produce 32 offsprings in 2 years. The same 8 will now produce 32 offspring. 1 cow will produce 1 offspring in the 2 years. These are important facts for you to understand. So in 2 years, the 8 multiply to 32. If you had cow, multiply to 1. So that is why we call this industry, Dr. Walt running the ministry, the sleeping giant. I'm sure many of you, even in the industry, did not know some of this fact. And now we're going to wake that sleeping giant. FAO recommended that for good health and vitality per capita consumption should be 50 kgs. So we're looking from a health perspective now. Because the world is going to become healthier. Everybody looking at their diet. Dr. Gibori, you're looking at your diet too. The only problem, your diet seems to be having more carbs these days. So according to the FAO, a healthy and viable diet requires 50 kgs per capita. So we are not working in an industry where 10 years from now you will hear the world saying it's a sunset industry. We can't eat lamb anymore because it is contributing to the reduction of life expectancy by 3 years. That is out of the window. Very important for you to know if you're building an industry for the long term. Some may say it's not consequential. It's very consequential. To know that you're investing in an industry that has long-term viability. Now if you convert this, an average household of 5 globally then should consume 250 kgs annually, which is roughly 10 sheep, using 25 kg as an average output per sheep. So using the FAO data and what is happening on the international market, you can safely assume that a household can consume per capita on average 10 sheep. Okay? So that is to show you that demand is not going anywhere else but up. And once demand will continue to go up, supply has to increase. All of which support the viability of the industry. The other slide is this. These are basically images of black belly sheep in Guyana, housing, elevated slotted floor pen, the black belly lamb. So we just have images to demonstrate to you what exists locally. So you can don't just rush it through so they can see. Okay? If you look at now on the local market, there's an image there of packaged local lamb leg. Right here. So this is where the market is going to now. Locally, this will continue to improve. Then if you go to some local markets, they have imported specialized cuts, all of which we now have to build the infrastructure to produce here locally. As somebody got free advertisement there. Now we can play the short clip. So you have the video? If we can just play it so they can see. We'll come back to it. So we're not only looking at the final by time, right? We're not only looking at the positives. There are constraints. And what are the constraints that we have that we must address? One, insufficient and unreliable data for mutton and high-valued lamb. So we are now investing in the ministry, having the human resource capacity so we can have real-time data and as accurate data as possible. It is only since we started this research and the work to develop these sectors that we're seeing the weaknesses, that data wasn't there. Inadequate breeding stock, which we are working to improve. I've already said in 2 weeks' time we have 1,000 breeding stock that will come in. We have limited production of high-value lamb and mutton products. Very limited production. Our production level is very low right now. So we have to spend the next 2 years ramping up production. The next 2 years is about ramping up production. So the sector will go through an inventory period where the type of revenue that we want to come in will not be at peak or optimal, because we now have to start from nothing, building up the production. You follow me? So I want the farmers to understand this. We are in this together. We have inadequate climate smart housing facilities for the sheep production. And this is as no fault to the farmers. We now have to invest with the farmers in educational program, training program, and bring the technology to you and making it available to you. And that is another part of the project that we'll be working on with you. Then inadequate access to feed. This we're working in the medium term to correct with investment in corn and soya and the feed industry itself. Poor pasture management. Theft. A big issue. These are real issues. We have to confront them. So in the system itself, we'll be addressing these issues. Because security is an important part of the building of any sector and industry. Limited technology transfer. That is why we're bringing in the large players with capital and technology to support us. One of the big problems was limited investment because of market access. Now we are working correcting that. The CARICOM market alone, the Barbados market alone, will be a tremendous opportunity for us to access. And as we bring in the large-scale producers, we are bringing with them also their markets. So they will help us to get easy and early entry into existing markets. The cost of production. The cost of production is high because of the lack of use of technology and the infrastructure that exists. And these are things that we are going to fix now in terms of technology, infrastructure, and breed. To be competitive, we have to have the right breeding stock. And that is what we are addressing. The health personnel and unavailability of vets to support the sector. We are now correcting that. We are going to hire specifically for this project a dedicated team that would full-time and in a full-time manner work with the farmers here in support of the sector. An entire machinery. We are building an entire machinery to work with you in this region. So not only did we identify the weaknesses, but we also identify the action required. The actions required to mitigate these risks. And I've been going through, as I raised the challenges, the actions, so I don't need to go through that again with you. So what is the target of this project? The target of this project is to increase local production above 7,000 tons by the end of year 5. So by the end of year 5, we want to be in a position of year 0. You may say that doesn't make sense. But the existing regional market is 7,900 tons. That is today, as we speak. In 5 years, it will increase. But we are targeting in 5 years to be at 7,900 tons, which is year 0. Because we are realistic. your plan and your vision must be realistic. And in a realistic manner, that is the maximum point we can be in year 5 with all the investment that will come in. It will grow rapidly after that. But the goal is to be here in year 5. To do this, it requires an investment from government, farmers, international players of 175 million United States dollars. That is our projection in terms of the investment that is needed to take us there. The land requirement is 25,000 hectares. That alone tells you that in the long term, it's not only Region 5 that will be part of this in achieving this 5-year target. We are already working with Karasabai and many other communities. The operating expenditure for the whole sector in the country in achieving that target by year 4 will be around 24 million US dollars. And beyond year 4, it will be consistently at 30 million US dollars. That will be the operating expenditure, the current expenditure. The expected earning, when we look at the evening out of costs over the years, will be 43 million US dollars annually. Once we do this right and we get it right, this is what the annual revenue is projected to be. The employment, close to 4,500 jobs, directly and indirectly. And we identify the countries we are targeting initially in terms of our production. The next table, identify the projected production from year 0, that is now. This is we consider year 0. From year 0 to years 10 to 20. I'm just showing you the level of detail that went into this. It is not dreaming of an idea. This is a vision. This is a well-calculated vision we are presenting to you today. So you see in that table, you will see annual production, the total breeding herd that is required, females, the total offspring or yield per year, the male lamb that is required, the replacement level, how much you can cull safely and viably, the stocking rate that is required, and also the technical coefficients. This is more for those technical people out there, because you know some people would ask, did you analyze this technical component? We're just letting them know that we did it. And it's there. Because trust me, this is a very beautiful and dynamic country. They are the doers and the naysayers. Let us all be part of the doers. Let me hear you. We are part of the doers. We then have the financial projections, dealing with the investment and the operating costs for the same period that we identified. The next slide deals with the local production of mutton and lamb and what we can expect following this path. Increasing our national GDP, increasing local consumption, increasing tourists and expats coming to work in Guyana. These are all the factors that influence the projections that we're talking about. Again, no guesswork, real analysis. The expectations. Initially, here in West Coast Berbice, we have 78 farmers now. 78 farmers now, so there was an update from then to now. 78 farmers who have already signed up with their own land that they want support. So, All you're required to do, if you're a farmer now and you have land, is to sign up and bring the land to the equation. And then we work with you. Then we have the other targets that we set with women and youths, who will have to find a mechanism in terms of the government support in land. And then we will have to see the gap after we examine Region 5 and build the other communities to fill that gap. So we're targeting 2,000 heads of sheep here in Berbice, West Coast Berbice. We have 1,000 that is coming in already, and this initial investment is close to $3 million US. That is just this initial investment, the kickstart things. And all of this is already not in the pipeline, but shooting down the stream. Because all of this is already going on.
Nice.
So we have a whole list of details. But one of the things we want to do also is to centralize the waste. That is the manure. To centralize it so that whilst we invest in this industry here, it can support the other sectors. For example, the shade houses that we're doing requires manure because we want it to be as organic and fresh as possible. So centralizing that and working on a system to utilize it is part of the project. The sheep farmers participating in the Blackberry Sheep Project, they're expected to contribute to the development of the project by developing the pastures with the grass and legumes required. Of course, as I said, we will help you with the equipment to create infrastructure, but you must develop the pastures, plant the pastures, ensure the feeding material is on the pastures. Sheep farmers will collaborate with GLDA to ensure that all data of the sheep and the farm will be provided for proper monitoring. So on every single farm, we will have an electronic monitoring system. Every farm will have a database. And the farmers must update their database on a daily basis. And that database, individual farm, will be linked to a national database so that we'll have real-time data to help support you from GLD. So it's not only about creating the farms, it's about helping you in the management of the farms. The next slide, we have names of persons who've already signed on with a total acreage available. And so far we have 1,325 acres, am I right? Correct. 1,325 acres that farmers would have already committed to this system. So out of all the land that you own by lease or transport, you've already committed this. We are working with the other farmers, the youths and the women, on a second approach. We can now move to the conclusion. I know I have you here a long time, but
Interesting though.
it is that is the part of creating a vision, is to spend time to communicate the vision. And whilst I'm still suffering from the effects of a long flight, yesterday we were in St. Cuthbert's, today I'm here, because this is important for our people in our country. Very important. So in conclusion, you have a partner in the government. And the government has a partner in you. And we have a partner in CARICOM. And we have an opportunity with the global players that are coming in. I thank you very much for your time, and I now open the floor for questions. Thank you very much. Oh, we'll just play the video and then we'll go to the questions.
I will sit and take the questions, please. Thank you.